right, thank you everybody for taking the time to attend today's session. Today's session, we are going to be looking at the YALink MTR solutions versus what kind of YALink solutions there are available for BYOD devices, and also kind of the differences between, a BYOD solution versus an MTR, where we would use one over the other and things like that. So before I get started, I'll just let you know my name is Scott Young. I am the Manager of Products and Services here at Allo Computer Products. Been spending a lot of time working with the YALink MTR solutions over the last couple of years. So yeah, happy to be here to present this lunch and learn session here today. So part of the agenda today will be kind of going through a few questions that we kind of should be asking our customers before we, determine whether a BYOD solution or an MTR solution is going to be the right kind of fit for their purpose. We'll have a look at just a quick overview of YALink's MTR on Windows and Android devices. I know most of you are probably aware of these devices by now, but we'll just quickly have a quick overview around those product sets. We'll also look at how YALink have also adopted a BYOD function or support in conjunction with their MTR solutions. We'll look at the pros and cons of using an MTR device. We'll then look at a few of the BYOD solutions from YALink, again, the pros and cons of BYOD, and then we'll finish with a bit of a Q&A session. All right, so scoping customers' requirements. So I suppose the first thing that we need to be, doing when we're talking to our customers about meeting room solutions is working out what VC platform do they use? What VC applications do they need to support? And the first thing that I normally do when I'm having this conversation with a customer is try and work out, what do they use internally? What is their main VC platform that this company uses? Because if what they're using internally is primarily going to be the application that they use the most. So the first thing I'll work out is what they're using internally. Now, if that happens to be a mix of VC applications, then that kind of moves the conversation toward more of a BYOD kind of solution away from an MTR solution. But if they've got a kind of a dedicated VC platform that they use, it might be Teams, it might be Zoom, then we can go for a dedicated kind of native device for that platform. If we then, and if the answer comes back that they use Teams internally, for example, but then we also have customers that we have meetings with frequently that use a whole different mix of platforms. It might be Zoom, might be Google Meet, it might be WebEx. Then there's the opportunity there then to have that conversation around, do we go for a BYOD solution, or do we go for a dedicated Teams MTR solution, but add that BYOD support? And I think the answer to that kind of question really comes down to, if they are using Teams internally, but they have customers that use other platforms, I'd strongly suggest then they go for a Teams-based MTR device, but add that BYOD capability later on. Now, if they're using a complete mix of platforms, one day they're using Zoom, next day they're using Teams, they don't primarily have a dedicated VC platform for internal use, they just use, whatever they need to on the day, then maybe a BYOD solution is going to be a better device for them, because it's going to be a cheaper solution than by going out and buying a dedicated Teams or Zoom based piece of equipment. All right, so first of all, let's have a quick look at some of the Windows-based MTR solutions from YALink. So YALink have been in this industry now for 3 going on 4 years. So a lot of their devices are proven in the market. We're now onto the 3rd generation of some of the compute, where we've got new cameras available now. So the MTR devices that Yealink are producing is growing stronger and stronger in the market every single day. Now, Yealink have a range of MTR solutions on Windows for all room sizes. So we're talking about small focus huddle room solutions all the way up to extra large training room, auditorium type scenarios. So starting down at the MVC 320, which actually isn't listed on here, but then, the 320 to the 400 for those smaller focus rooms. We've then got the 640, 840, 660 and 860 for kind of those medium to large room sizes. And then we have the MVC 9 series products for that extra large meeting space. Now, moving on to some of the Android-based devices for Microsoft Teams as well. So there's a couple of different solutions here. We've got the A20 and the A30 solution for kind of that small and medium room space. And then we've got the Meeting Board 65 and soon to be released Meeting Board 86 for those kind of medium to larger room spaces. Now, in regards to the Android-based solutions, they don't have the kind of room or as much scope in terms of the room sizes as what the Windows-based solutions are. The Windows-based solutions are definitely more modular, and we can add more mics than what we can on the Android solutions. But there's definitely kind of pros and cons between both the Android and the Windows solutions, which we won't go into in today's webinar. Okay, so now one thing that we can do when we're, if we do go down the path of using a Windows-based MTR solution, we're not stuck with, only using Teams. There are ways of turning these Windows-based MTR solutions into a BYOD solution. Now, when we talk about BYOD solutions, just, probably something I kind of should have spoken about at the start of the session, but when we talk about a BYOD solution, it's, what we're saying there is we're giving the user the ability to actually bring in their own computer or have a dedicated computer running in their room, and then they can run whatever VC application they want on that PC. So that's what we mean when we're talking about a BYOD solution. Now, what we can do with the Windows-based MTR solution, which is, as we know, dedicated to Microsoft Teams. But if we want to add BYOD capabilities to a Teams-based MTR solution, we can do that. Yealink give us the ability to be able to add that functionality to any of their MTR solutions, or majority of their MTR solutions, I should say. Now, as we can see from these diagrams here, there's a single device that needs to be added to the kit to enable that BYOD functionality. So it's called the MVC BYOD extender. So what this is effectively doing is it's effectively switching the USB connection away from the MTR solution and then passing that USB connection back to the PC that we're using to run whatever VC application we want. So the way this works is the MVC BYOD extender will connect back to the MTR solution. Now, depending on the camera, it will go to the VCH port on the back of the camera. If we're using Ethernet connected audio devices, then it'll go into the PoE switch that connects to the camera as well. So that's a Cat cable that we'd run from that camera or that switch at the front of the room back to the table where we would have our laptop sitting to connect the system to our PC. Now, from that MVC BYOD extender, which is Ethernet, like I said, back to the camera, there's a USB cable that we would then connect back to our PC. Now, once we insert that USB cable into our PC, Windows is then going to install a audio and video device on that computer. So once you go to your devices in whatever AV application you're running, you're now going to have the option to select Yealink Room Audio or Yealink Room Camera from the devices drop-down list. So this is how we get that BYOD solution to our PC in a Windows-based solution. Now, okay, so we've got that camera, we've got the speakers, we've got the mics. Now we also need to be able to push whatever presentation or whatever application we're running on our computer up to the front of Room TV as well. Now to do that, we do need to actually connect another or a second cable from the MTouch panel. So you'll see from this diagram here, we've got either a HDMI or a USB-C connection from the MTouch panel to the PC. So what that is doing is then that is enabling the content that is running on our PC to be pushed out to the TV at the front of the room. Now, not only can we use the HDMI or USB-C, but we could also use the WPP20 content sharing dongle as well. So we can, we can make it a single USB connect to the PC, but we need to have that dongle connected to our PC as well. All right, now when we look at the BYOD solutions for Android, so again, Yealink have kind of catered for this BYOD support, whether it's an Android solution or whether it's a Windows solution. So that's kind of, very helpful for users that need this capability. So with the Android-based solutions, it's a little bit easier actually. So there's a single cat cable, again, connecting from the A20 or the A30. It doesn't matter which bar you're using, it's still the same support. So a single cat cable from the A20 or the A30 in the back of the VCH port. Now, again, if we are using additional wired mics on the A20 or the A30, then we'd have a PoE switch sitting at the back there connecting those mics and the A20 together. So what we would do in that case is just connect the VCH51 sharing box into that PoE switch. Now, once we've done that, that VCH51 will then sit on our table where our laptop or our dedicated computer might be. Now, from that, when we're using the Android-based solutions and the VCH51, we can do a single cable connection to enable that BYOD. So what we can do from the VCH51 is we can connect a USB-C cable from the VCH51 into a USB-C port on the PC. Again, now that's going to give us the camera from the A20, A30, the mics and the speakers. And again, that gets installed as a device on your laptop. So from the VC application that you want to run, whether it's Teams, Zoom, Cisco WebEx, Google Meet, you will then be able to select that Yealink Room Audio, Yealink Room Camera from that selection of available devices on the PC. Now, one thing to mention here with the USB-C connect to your PC. So majority of laptops these days do have a USB-C port, but there are older laptops on the market with USB-C ports that do not support video pass-through. If your laptop does not support video pass-through on your USB-C port, then you will also need to connect the HDMI port from the VCH51 to your PC as well. So the USB-C connection will still stay there as well. That's going to give you the camera and the mic and the speakers, but you're going to need that HDMI cable to push the video content on your PC to the TV at the front of the room. Okay, guys, so if you do have any questions or anything like that throughout the presentation, please just chuck them into the Q&A panel and we'll get to them at the chat panel and we'll get to them at the end of the slides. All right, so something new also from Yealink, which is very exciting and everyone's kind of raving about this at the moment, is the WPP30. Now, only supported on the A20 and the A30 at this point in time. But what this is the WPP30 is allowing us to do is it's actually allowing us to have a wireless BYOD function. So rather than running that cat cable from front of room to table, plugging in cables and things into our laptop, what we can do is we can simply plug in the WPP30 into our laptops, and it will wirelessly connect to the camera, mic, and speaker of the A20 and A30. Plus, also wirelessly present whatever is on our laptop screen to the front TV. So this is a game changer. As soon as this was announced by Yealink and demonstrated that it worked, because there is a lot of technology that goes into making this this happen, everyone was raving about it. So this is the new way of BYOD. Being able to wirelessly connect to our devices is the way that it's going to head in the future. Okay, now the great thing about the WPP30 is it does have hardware inside this device. It's not going to take any load off the PC that you're plugging it into as well. It supports 4K, 30 frames per second content sharing. It does support both USB and USB-A and USB-C. And even on USB-A, we still get that full BYOD support and video pass-through as well. Now, at the moment, like I was saying, it's only supported on the A20 and the A30 at the moment. Now, it will be supported on the meeting board very soon. And at the moment, content sharing is also supported via the Roomcast as well, and wireless BYOD via the Roomcast will be available sometime in the near future. This slide still does say October, but that hasn't happened yet. Now, in the future as well, we will also see support on the MVC Windows systems as well. So we are going to have wireless BYOD support on our Windows-based MTRs in the near future as well. We'll see that come to market sometime in early 2023. All right, so now let's have a bit of a look at kind of the pros and the cons of using a dedicated based MTR over a BYOD solution. So, the pros of having an MTR solution, it's a dedicated system for Microsoft Teams. There is, the system is there, it is built to run Microsoft Teams room system. You're not going to have any issues. There's no installing of other software onto the unit. There's no conflicts that we're going to have between different VC applications or anything like that. It is a dedicated PC purely sitting there to run the Microsoft application. Another great thing is that control panel that we have. We've got the MTouch 2 sitting on the boardroom table. It's displaying our upcoming meetings, and there's a join button there. So it's so easy to use. People walk into the meeting room space, they click the join button, and they are entering the meeting straight away. As simple as that. So super, super easy. Microsoft have worked endlessly to make sure this meeting room experience is simple for everybody to use. We don't need IT administrators to come in and help us start a meeting. One touch join and away we go. Another pro is that the system the account, the Office 365 account that we use for a Microsoft Teams room is a shared resource account. This means we can easily book this room in a meeting. We have awareness of whether that room is already booked out or whether it's available for us to book a meeting, schedule a meeting. We have a lot more kind of flexibility and information about the room that we can see when we're scheduling meetings either from Teams or from Outlook. Now, we've also got advanced layout functionalities with MTR devices that we don't see with running a BYOD solution. So we've got, for example, Front Row, the latest kind of layout that Microsoft have released. You don't get that on a desktop PC. You need to have that on a meeting room or on an MTR device. We've got wireless content sharing, the capability to be able to share content into a meeting wirelessly rather than using a dedicated PC, another huge pro to the MTR. And then, when we talk about the YALink kit, it's camera control. We have full control over the cameras and the audio inside that meeting room space. Now, if we're using a BYOD solution, we can do it, but it's nowhere near as easy as what it is on an MTR device. Okay, a couple of cons with the MTR devices. It only supports Teams. We can't run any other VC application, or not nicely anyway, on the Windows-based, on any Teams-based MTR device. It's a Teams-based MTR device for a reason. It runs Teams. That's what it's there for. Okay, we do have, look, it says here, we do have guest join to Zoom and Cisco WebEx. Those three parties have kind of partnered together to make sure that we can have a successful meeting between all three platforms. But does it work well? I wouldn't say so. It's just not as great of experience as what you would get in a pure Teams meeting. So if we join a Zoom meeting from a Windows-based MTR device, you just don't get that same meeting experience. Single screen, lower resolution, it's just not that nice. So like we know, it's a Teams device, it's built for Teams. They've gone out of their way to kind of support both Zoom and Cisco, but it's not that, it's not the same experience. All right, okay, so let's move on to the BYOD devices. So I'm running a little bit slow at the moment. I'll quickly try and speed things up a little bit. Okay, so YALink offer quite a few different BYOD kits as such. So as we can see on the screen, we've got a UVC30 with the CP900 BYOD kit, UVC40 BYOD kit, 84 BYOD kit, and we've also got a second variation of the UVC84 BYOD kit as well. Now, just because there isn't a kit for some of the other peripherals that you can get from YALink doesn't mean you can't run them in a BYOD solution. We can basically run any YALink camera and audio solution in a BYOD scenario. So the great thing about YALink and the way that their peripherals all connect together is that the speakers and the mics, they connect back via the camera, and the camera then has that single USB connection back to the PC. So whether that single USB connection is going into an MTR or it's going into your own PC that you're running whatever VC application you want, you can still do that. Now, in these kits here, you can see that a lot of them have that BYOD box. Now, so the BYOD box it's pretty much a USB hub, but it also supports video pass-through as well. So there's a HDMI port on the end of the BYOD box that will connect to your PC. So in that first example, the UVC30, so you'd have the HDMI connecting to your PC, UVC30 and the CP900 connected to the USB-A ports on the BYOD kit or the BYOD box, and then USB-C from the BYOD box to your PC. And that would allow all devices to connect to your PC with a single cable. Now, some of these kits don't have BYOD boxes, and the main reason for that is it all depends on how many USB cables you need to connect to your PC. So if it's only a single USB cable to your PC, like the UVC84 kit on the very right-hand side here, then we don't need a BYOD box. So BYOD box really is just making sure that if we need to connect multiple peripherals via USB to your PC, that you have enough USB ports to support that. These days, a lot of laptops that are coming out into the market don't have many USB ports anymore. They might only have, if you're using a slimline laptop, they might only have 2 USB-C ports. So, you need to make sure Yaelink are catering for that equipment where, USB ports are hard to come by. Now, like I was saying before, we can connect a UVC 84, we can connect a UVC 86 via USB to our PC. We then can connect Yaelink's M speakers, we can connect their ceiling mics, we can connect their table mics, we can connect their wireless mics. All of this can be connected in a BYOD kind of setup. And not only can we connect those devices, but we can also use the new AV hub as well. So we can use the AV hub as a multi-camera solution in a BYOD setup as well. Now, not only can we have that multi-camera solution, but we can also have that connectivity to third-party audio as well. So if we're using existing DSPs or we've got amplifiers with ceiling speakers and things like that, that can all be connected via the AV hub and then back into our PC. And then we can then run that PC as a BYOD solution and run whatever VC application we want. Okay, so some of the pros and cons of BYOD support. Okay, pros. Yes, we can run whatever VC application we want. Doesn't matter, as long as Windows has detected the Yaelink peripherals, we can then select those devices as our audio, also as our mic, our speaker, our camera device in our VC application, and we can then run whatever we want. We're not limited to Teams. We know that. We can run whatever VC application you want. Also, what the flexibility here is that we're running Windows, where we've got access to our full Windows PC. We can get access to our files that we want to share. We can get access to cloud drives to pull down files, to share videos, to do whatever we need to do in our meeting. So we have that flexibility. Some of the cons when we're using BYOD. We have to bring our own laptop into a meeting. Not everybody has the ability to even have a laptop, let alone bring it into our meeting room. We need to use our own personal accounts. And when I say personal, I mean, it's an organization account, but that's your personal organization account. You might have files and things that you have on your OneDrive or whatnot that is private and confidential to you or to management in the organization, and you don't want people being able to access those devices. Let's just say you have, we're in a scenario here where we have a dedicated PC in our meeting room, and that dedicated PC, everybody has access to. They walk into the room, they sign in with their account on that PC, and they run their meetings. They then finish the meeting and they walk out of the room, but they forget to sign out of that PC. Next person walks in, and there's the last person who used the room. There's all his personal files and whatnot that he's left open, and for everybody else to see. So that's a security risk, when you're running, a system like that. Whereas with an MTR-based solution, as soon as you finish your meeting, everything is wiped from that meeting. There's no leftover chat. There's no notes or anything left over from that meeting. It's gone. It's back to the home screen on the MTR, and no one has access and no one knows what just happened previously in that meeting. Whereas with that BYOD solution, it's that dedicated PC, it's running Windows, people have to sign in and sign out. So it's just another additional layer of security there that needs to be enhanced if you are using that BYOD kind of solution. Now, another really important factor here is camera control. Okay, we can do it, but it is a workaround. So when we're running a dedicated PC or our laptop, for example, and we've walked into our meeting room and we've connected let's just say, for example, here the UVC 86 with some wireless mics and a speaker. We've connected the UVC 86 to our PC. It's installed all the devices. We've got access to those devices. We can select them from our the VC app that we're using. Now, I want to turn on speaker tracking on the UVC 86. Okay, so how do I do that? You know, I'm running Zoom. There's no option in Zoom to turn on speaker tracking on the camera. So what I have to do is I have to actually have the Yealink USB Connect or the Yealink Room Connect software installed on my computer as well. And then I have to actually go into, so I need to close down Zoom or minimize Zoom, for example, go into the Yealink Room Connect software, fiddle around with the settings, turn on the AI feature that I want, speaker tracking in this example, and then go back to the Zoom app. And then that's enabled. So there's a bit of fiddling around to actually change those settings, you know, when we are running in a BYOD solution. Now, if those settings don't change, so once you've set up the camera in the room, you've connected a PC to the camera, you've enabled, let's just say, auto framing on the UVC 86, and it's never going to change. No one needs to change it. Auto framing is suitable for that room for all meetings. Then that's fine, because once you actually set the camera to use auto framing, no matter whether you change PCs, you unplug the camera, plug it back into something else, it's going to keep that setting. That setting is always going to be saved. So, you know, this con, as I'm saying, is really only, prevalent when, when people are needing to change those AI features, or they need to manually control the camera. If we need to manually pan, tilt, zoom the camera, then this is where that becomes a bit of an issue, and we need to use that second application to do it. All right, guys, that is it. I can see that we do have a few questions here, so I'll quickly run through these now. All right, so we've got first question, the BYOD interface. How far can the Cat5e run? Okay, 100 meters. It is it is a standard Ethernet connection. So you do have that 400 meter cable support for that. One for Narav, is the WPP30 running Wi-Fi 6 technology? Is that likely to have better video content sharing compared to WPP20 because of that? Definitely. So it is running Wi-Fi 6, so you are going to get those higher speeds. So another kind of reason why we do have WPP30 support now for the Android devices, because they also support Wi-Fi 6. Whereas at the moment, the Windows-based solution, because the content sharing dongle connects via Wi-Fi to the MTouch, and the MTouch doesn't support Wi-Fi 6. And that's why we don't yet have that capability for wireless BYOD with the Windows-based MTRs. So yes, Narav, definitely will be a better experience. Okay, can you change cam settings with a remote for the UVC 84? Great question. Okay, so you can't at this point in time. That will change though. So there is a new remote coming out very soon that will give you more flexibility over what you can and can't do on those cameras. So there will be the ability to change, enable, disable those AI features and manually pan, tilt and zoom the camera in the near future. But the remote control at the moment is limited. You can pan and tilt the camera, but you can't change between the AI features. But yeah, definitely coming. All right, guys, is there any other questions? I'm hoping that kind of gave you a bit of an overview of, the differences between BYODs and dedicated MTR devices. I know that, in the end of it, it comes down to a kind of, what the customer requires and what they use, most often. That's kind of the way that I look at it. If they're a Teams house, they're using Teams internally, they might do the occasional Zoom meeting, definitely go for an MTR solution. I just think it's, it's definitely a a more streamlined device. It's a lot easier for people to use. Having that, having the ability to be able to add BYOD to that MTR device is a great plus as well. So you can still get that BYOD capability if and when they need it. But when they're primarily using Teams, MTR is definitely the way to go. Okay, another question. Does it WPP30 allow for wireless BYOD VC to an MTR kit? Yeah, okay, mate. So not yet. So it's definitely coming. At the moment, WPP30 is only supported by the A20 and the A30. Meeting board will be coming very soon, but the MVC kits, so the Windows-based MTR kits, won't be available until early next year. Okay, guys, there's no other questions. We'll finish it off today. This is actually our last lunch and learn session for the year. I think we've run over 20 odd lunch and learn sessions this year. So it's been, again, a very popular session for us to run. And like we always say, if you do have any topics that you do want covered, please feel free to shoot us an email and we'll make sure that we make it happen. All right, all, thank you very much for your time. Enjoy the afternoon and we'll see you next time. Thank you.